Where our treasure is, that's where our heart is also. So how do we live this out? I mean, it should be really easy, right? Like, just do the things that give you joy. Do the things that you love. Give that fills your heart. And we can do that, but oftentimes we don't because we're distracted. We're tempted. We hear false messages that we think are the things that are giving us our worth, right? Living out what truly is in our heart should be our goal. And that's what Christ has set for us. Think about it, especially in your own life. When you're living out what is in your heart, when you're being authentic and genuine, doesn't everything else just kind of fall into place? When you're guided by your faith, doesn't it all just seem to make sense, even through adversity, even through the tough times? Doesn't that just give you hope again to say, oh, that's right. Christ is with me. I'm dressed for action. I am ready to go. My lamp is lit. I'm ready to go out into the world. So what fills our hearts when we go out into the world? Do you have to sit here today and think, well, oh man, I have to create a whole list of these things that I need to go acquire? You already got them. I know you do. I look out and I see all of the gifts that you have. Who are the people in your life that encourage you? What are the things that give you joy? What are the things that fill your heart, that inspire you, that fill your treasure chest? So, the kids got one of these, but you get to take one of these today too. And if you don't have one, if you didn't grab one when you walked in, we'll have the ushers come down after the sermon today. If you don't have a pen, find one during faith break. I don't need this in the next 3 minutes, but I do want to see where your heart is filled. Write a few words, draw a picture. I don't care what you do. I want to know whatever it is that fills your heart. So a few of the treasures that I've thought about this week to give you perhaps a few ideas. You know, as Peter says this, I think about some of the ways that we're being inspired. For where our treasure is, there our heart will be also. For me, one of the things that fills my heart especially is this congregation. The mission of faith, to always be looking outwards, to always be saying, wow, there's something that God is calling us to do. I love the fellowship of this congregation. I love the ways that we come together, the ways that we're inspired by one another, the ways that we support our youth, the ways that we support lifelong learning. I love the ways that we're just never complacent, that being part of God's mission is something that we take seriously. Second, what else would I write on my heart? Family. Now, for you, this might be something very specific. It might be a specific name. It could be anything. For me, I keep thinking of all of the ways that my family, how are we doing things together? How are we able to support each other? How are we able to give love and receive love from each other? To give and receive grace. To give and receive forgiveness. That's clearly going to go on my heart. And then maybe a way to think about how those go together. I think about God's creation and ways that God has called me and you to be a steward of God's earth. And one of the ways I see this is just how often I find myself, the things that bring me the most joy, I seem to find myself outside. And I love the ways that God has done this, how God has called me to be a steward of God's creation and God's beautiful earth. So what about you? What treasures fill your heart?